We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. We have an amazing episode for you today. I'm Gabe Johansson here with Trevor Howard and Mike Nuss and our special guest, Tristan Mistkawi. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that was good.
Ooh, I'm getting it. 28-year-old phenom. We've actually recorded this episode before, and somebody, we won't mention names, Dane, lost it, and so we're doing it again. So this is going to be fun because now I know you a little bit. Mike doesn't, though, right?
Mike wasn't here. This was my favorite episode of all time that we had recorded. Was the previous?
Oh,
one
this is gonna
Tristan.
be hard. This is gonna be hard to do it twice.
Yeah.
No, we'll be able to do it twice.
A lot of pressure.
I want to give the recap to get people excited. The high level of Tristan is Tristan went to grad medical school, racked up like $200,000 in debt, and then quit partway through to do full-time real estate and figured it out. It's my favorite story of all time.
It's because his parents really love that idea.
Yeah,
Who's Trevor's or Tristan's?
Both.
Yeah.
That's why Trevor loves the story.
Do you guys have Thanksgiving dinner together to talk about that story?
Maybe this year.
Yeah. Let's get together. Hey,
Kidding.
let's just be thankful of Tristan.
All right, so let's kick it off. Since Mike doesn't know your story, let's just start from the top. Tell us, give us just a background a little bit, maybe not all the way back to the day you were born, but let's go back to when maybe you started thinking about real estate. You're young, you're going through school, and how your path led you to being a real estate investor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's funny how it actually started. So I didn't tell you, I don't think I told you guys this last time, but it really started, like my mind started thinking when, so I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Like,
how old were you?
This was like a year before getting into medical school. So I was like 23. So I was 23 because I started medical school when I was 24.
Whoa. You read Rich Dad, Poor Dad and got into medical school.
Yeah. Well, I was already accepted, and then I like read it.
Oh, you refused to just change your path at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, that costs a lot of money, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, I won't foreshadow.
It was like right when I got accepted, or like right before. I can't really remember, but I read it. It like started getting me thinking, and I was just like, but like I want to go to medical school. Like I don't think I want to do any of this other stuff. Like I just didn't really understand how business or like real estate or anything worked.
Why'd you read it?
Because one of our friends just wanted me to read it. So just like, okay.
You were pressured.
Yeah. I was pressured by
And you got nothing out of it, though.
At the time, I guess.
You didn't read the first chapter and go like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go to school.
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
So you didn't really know how to read or comprehend what you were reading.
I guess not. Yeah, this mic is like falling over. I don't know. Okay.
No, he just gives into pressure, which we all did at that age.
Is this how smart all of our doctors are in this world today?
No, we're just at that age, you're impressionable and you give into pressure. Someone pressured you into reading, someone pressured you to go to school. You thought this was the right thing. You just didn't give into it yet. You didn't push back because you weren't confident that you had the capability to push back.
Yeah.
Tell me a 24-year-old or 22-year-old that hasn't had that show up sometime in their life.
Sure. Keep going.
Yeah, and like to add on to that a little bit, like I remember one of my organic chemistry professor, that was like my favorite professor I had. He told me, I was pretty close to him. He's like, you shouldn't go. He's like, I was thinking about going to medical school, and somebody told me, like, you should not become a doctor unless you literally cannot see yourself doing anything else. And I was like, well, I don't know what else I want to do, so I guess this is it. So
you really wanted to be a doctor?
Yeah, I thought I did, but looking back, like retrospectively now,
well, you didn't.
It was like I just
real quick because
didn't.
That was an excellent question or statement question, and you didn't answer it. You said, "Well, I don't have anything." That's was the words that just came out.
Yeah, it wasn't strong enough. Like the reason behind it was just like, well, I don't know what else I'd want. It's not that I literally can't see myself doing nothing but this, and so
you just didn't have any other ideas.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but anyways, so I read the book, and then I was like, like got me thinking a little bit, but then it was just like, okay, whatever, like back to medical school. Then the pandemic hit right before going to medical school, And I was a scribe at the time, medical scribe for a doctor before going to medical school.
So you're writing down their notes?
Yeah, I was writing down all their notes, like doing all their charting and everything for all their patients. And the pandemic hit, we got laid off. All the scribes got laid off. So then I got unemployment. So I got unemployment checks, and I was like, this is insane. Like, I don't even have to do anything. I'm getting money coming in the mail. Like, and that was what really like got me hooked. I was like, I want, this is why people love business, because you don't have to do anything.
You want
just
passive.
And it was
mailbox money.
Yeah.
You got to do a little more than unemployment.
Yeah, but that's a great thought and statement for your generation to experience mailbox money without having to earn it. Some people are going to take that and just go in a bad direction. Some people like you will take that and go, oh, well, how do I create this?
Yeah. And like what I love most about it was like me and my wife, we had like so much, it was like perfect timing because we had so much time to spend with our family and just hang out with our friends, have a ton of fun, even in the pandemic, you know, just doing our own thing. And right before we moved to another state, to Idaho, was, you know, Boise was where my school was. And I just loved just having time freedom. And then when I went to medical school, I lost all of it. And I was like, this sucks. So
how long did you do medical school for?
Yeah. So no, I didn't. At first, I didn't think it sucked. I was like, you know, I was pretty excited to be there. I worked really hard. I was near the top of my class. And towards the end of my first year, you know, everything was going super well. Towards the end of my first year, I just started to feel a little bit of burnout already. And I was just like, man, I don't know if I actually want to do this. Like, and so going into the second year, I started like developing a system to where I figured out how I could study the like least possible amount of time to then just like have more free time and still get like decent. I wasn't gunning for like straight A's like I was the first year. But I was still getting like, you know, B's and some A's here and there. But I figured out a system like how I could study the least possible amount of time. And then that just like kept progressing more and more into my third year. And I was just like, what am I doing? I'm like trying to, and then when I was trying to figure out like what kind of doctor I wanted to be, I was choosing the doctor that I was trying to choose a specialty that worked the least amount of time or had the most amount of time off. And I was like, what am I doing at this point? Like, and so
you're thinking like an entrepreneur while you're in school.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a retired doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see Trevor, and I remember I talked to Trevor going into my second year, because I see Trevor buying real estate and how he's not an engineer anymore. Like one of my good friends growing up, like we'd hang out all the time, you know, have sleepovers, all that good stuff. And but then yeah, I I saw that, and it got me interested. And then I remembered that, you know, the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. I feel like everybody reads that book. But so, and Trevor was just saying, hey, you know, anybody call me, like, I'll, you know, I'm happy to help, like ask whatever question you have. So I just called him, and he told me about how to house hack and just like how to buy your first deal and all that stuff. And I was like, at first I tried to get my dad to help me buy something and just put 5% down, and he refused. Like he did not want to help me. And I was like, okay, well, I can't get a loan on my own because I'm in med school. I'm in a bunch of debt. My wife, she doesn't make a ton of money. She works at a coffee shop. And so none of her family wanted to help us either. And so going into my third year, we were, you know, your third and fourth year of medical school, you have clinical rotations, and we had a partnership with a hospital in Great Falls, Montana. And that was where I was like selected to go. And I had two options. I could go there or in the Hamptons in New York. and the Hamptons, like once finding out how it costs like $50,000 to rent a house for 1 month during the summer, I was like, no. I was like, I do not want to go here. I do not want to drive. I don't want to like stay in a town an hour away and then drive to the hospital. Like this would be terrible. And so Great Falls was the other option. And houses were a lot more affordable in Great Falls. And so I started talking to lenders, and I was just like, hey, how much do I have to make? How much does my wife have to make for us to qualify for a house? And so we found, she got a coffee, another job at a coffee shop, and she made just barely enough to qualify for what we needed. And I'll get to that. Do you want me to talk about this episode or?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then I was just planning. This was my second year of, second half of my second year medical school, planning for the move. I was like, I just made it a goal. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to buy my first deal. And then to backtrack a little bit, so I talked to Trevor going into my second year, and then I just started watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and then I learned about wholesaling and the Burr method and like seller finance and subject to and all this stuff. And I just started, so I learned how to pull a list on PropStream. And so I can't even remember. I pulled a list of just fourplexes, and I called like literally every fourplex in Great Falls. And there's not very many. There's like 400. But I called every single one, tried to get a hold of every single one I could. Nobody wanted to sell. And then so I just started, I went down to the next, the next thing on the list, which was duplexes, and didn't have any luck there. Triplexes, duplexes, didn't have any luck there either. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to call single family stuff. And this was all during spring break of my second year. So the whole entire spring break, I was just cold calling the whole time to try and find, because nothing on market would work for us. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to burr something, or I'm gonna have to like wholesale to like get a down payment big enough to buy something on market.
You're just pulling away the haystack, one piece of hay at the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So then went to single family. I can't remember exactly what list it was. It was like tired landlords, or I think it was just vacant. They were just like vacant homes. And finally found one deal where it was single family, and then just a lot, like all right next to each other, 3 separate parcels. And they wanted to sell, and I learned a little bit about how to run comps, and I was like, okay, I think this might be a deal. And but then I was like, well, how am I going to buy it? Like, if I wanted to buy it, I don't have the money. But I learned about like raising private money, but I was like, who's going to give me that much money? So at first I was like, okay, I'm just going to see if I can get my first wholesale deal. I'm just going to call, buyers in the area, like other investors in the area. So I started doing that. And I actually, like, as I was cold calling through all these lists, I actually like talked to a lot of other investors, and they were just like interested in what I was doing. I was like, I'm trying to find my first deal. Like,
did anyone tell you that, or teach you that, or give you scripts, or tell you how to pull lists, or why you should cold call? Where'd that come from?
All was from YouTube.
Oh, YouTube told you.
Yeah, YouTube. Okay. I watched Jerry Norton or Flipping Mastery TV a lot. I watched a little bit of Pace Morby. And then there's this other person called Lily Invests. Like, I watched her too. I learned a ton from.
Did you pay anybody?
No.
Didn't need to.
Didn't pay anyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You can either take action or you can pay someone.
Yeah.
You learn more taking action. Cost less.
Trevor wanted to charge me when I called him though, but no. Just kidding.
It would have been worth it. Yeah. Would have done the deal faster.
Oh my God. It's true though. You can't deny it.
But what made you go to YouTube?
I just wanted to get out of it. Like, I wanted to figure out, or I was like, I either wanted to get out of it or wanted to try and do something on the side to get out of it in the future and like be able to retire. That was my plan at first. Like, I'll just retire early. I'll buy like one deal a year and then retire early.
So you had never thought about doing anything other than being a doctor, but once you learned that you wanted time freedom, somehow you came up with the idea that real estate was what was going to give you time freedom. It was Trevor that gave you that idea?
Yeah, he definitely was a big spark. Yeah.
And this is what's so good about your generation. You have a friend on social media that creates a spark. You don't have to pay anything. You go to YouTube, and this generation goes to YouTube for answers. You don't have to pay anything. We never had access to that. That is amazing springboard. And then you, more importantly, just took action with the tools that your generation has.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
go back to your deal. Three
yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah. So I was just trying to wholesale it. I connected with some buyers, just calling those lists, and you can pull lists to just see who is buying cash and all that stuff. So I did that too.
Where do you pull those lists?
I just used PropStream.
PropStream.
Mm-hmm. That's what I used. So I did spend $100 a month, and then for skip tracing, but
for real activity. You didn't create an LLC.
I didn't create an LLC yet. Just went after it. Yeah.
You got a data source to public record, so you can do skip tracing.
Yep.
And you had a phone.
Yep. So it was like a couple $100.
Yep. Anybody can do it.
And so, but now it's like, I think skip tracing is like becoming free now. And so are those like there's other softwares just like PropStream that are also free. So it's like even easier now. But, yeah, so I was trying to wholesale it. Nobody was interested because of how much work it needed. Like there was a ton. They're like, yeah, the price isn't bad, but it's just a lot more work than I'm wanting to take on right now. Cause the foundation was shot in one of the homes, and Great Falls has terrible, like super expansive clay soils. And so the foundations are just super bad in Great Falls. So it's like really common, but, so I was like, well, like I want to buy, I was like, well, if I can't wholesale it, but these people are telling me it's not a bad deal, then I'm going to see if I can, why don't I just buy it? And then I came up with this idea. I was like, I could sell the one house, sell the lot, and then just keep one of, the other single family house, and then bring the price down. And so I like talked to the lender I was talking about, I talked him through it, and I was like, what if I just bought it cash, did this, and then I could just sell it to my wife, so that way we don't have to wait to refinance. I could just sell it. I could sell it to my wife, and she can buy it with the FHA or conventional loan or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that would work. So
and this is the big fixer with the foundation issue.
So it wasn't bad. So one single family home was just terrible. Like everything was it was like, honestly, probably should get torn down. And then the other one, it was still in pretty rough shape, but it was at least like the foundation was not bad.
It was financeable.
Or
you made it appear financeable.
Yeah. Everything's financeable, dude. You think an appraiser knows what a foundation like is?
No, I hope everyone just takes what you just said. Because people assume things will happen and get called out because the retail industry says this is what's going to happen. But if you don't have a realtor saying, hey, look at this problem right here,
nobody
knows. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So you said you're going to pay cash for it. How are you going to pay cash for it? You have the cash?
That was the next problem to solve. So I was like, so as I was calling these people, there was one I connected with more than all the others. His name is Justin.
Oh my God, I love this story so much already.
His name is Justin, and he told me about how he was like, flipping houses in the area, and he was just super interested in my story, and how I was like trying to, just take an action to like buy my first deal. And so I went back to him. He didn't want to buy it from me, like as a, he didn't want to assign it over. And so I went back to him and I was like, what do you think about this? Like, what would you do if you were me? How could I find the private money to buy this deal and then just refinance right away after selling, because it really would only take, just as fast as I could sell those other properties and then just go refinance. And he was like, why don't you use my private money lender? I was like, what? Like, I was just like super surprised he wanted to give me, because his private money lender like taking potential funds away from him, but he gave me his number and everything, and I called him, and then this private money lender was an orthodontist, so then we like we're both kind of like in the medical field. We connected on that as well, and he asked me all about my story, and then he agreed to fund 100%, 12% interest, 2 points.
Found the money.
Yeah, I found the money.
To a brand new investor.
Well, and not even that. brand new market you've never been in, have no relationships in, and through $100 subscription to look people up and a phone, you not only found a really good deal, but you built significant social capital, which is worth more than the deal.
Yeah.
And that's how easy it is. It's literally that easy.
Yeah. And it wasn't easy.
It's simple,
but he had to do all the steps and spring break.
It's simple, but it's really, really hard.
People.
It took massive action. He had to spend all of spring break hitting the phones.
Yeah, it's mentally and emotionally draining.
Yeah, but it's all laid out. Like once you binge some YouTube videos and you're like, this really isn't hard. You just got to do all the things.
So how did you, because I'm sure, talk about that process. I'm sure there was days where it just sucked. There was days where it was awesome. How did you navigate that period of time while you're on the phone that whole period of time?
Like doing the cold calling?
Yeah.
Well,
what are your wins? What are your losses? What are your milestones?
Yeah, I was super discouraged because I was calling 8 hours a day all the way through the whole week, and I was like, shoot, I don't think I'm gonna find anything. And it was the second to last day of spring break that I finally found that one deal and got it under contract. And so I was super discouraged in the beginning, and just I was like, oh, man, I just didn't think I was gonna be able to do it, but I just kept pushing, and then it worked out. And it just proved to me okay, it's just a numbers game. You just got to make more calls. You're
an interesting person because you're super motivated to not work, but you work your ass off to get there.
Yeah.
Sounds like a misfit to me.
But you didn't want. But you decided along the way you didn't want to work your ass off for the medical world, but you would work your ass off for real estate.
Yeah.
So you found your thing, kind of on accident.
Yeah.
You also found that it's a lot easier to work your ass off for yourself than someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, and on your own time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I'm okay with it because one, it's pretty fun doing real estate deals. And then two, it's there's a light at the end of the tunnel with being a doctor. There's not, in my opinion. So
you think deals are more fun is what you're saying?
Deals are a lot more fun. Doctors are very important, though.
They are.
No disrespect.
We can't have all our doctors quitting to go do real estate.
Yeah.
Have you ever met a doctor not trying to get out of being a doctor?
Honestly, yeah. There's a lot.
No, I mean a lot that want to get out, but
yes.
You actually met a doctor that says, no, I just love being here. I don't ever want to get out.
I mean, actually, yeah, I have.
Okay.
I have.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that I think if they were handed a few $1 million, they would leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have not met a doctor yet, I don't think, that isn't trying to get into real estate.
That's because of our bias of what we're in. But yeah, I haven't met a doctor that's not trying to get out. Dentists are the prototype of it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing this deal, and then your private money guy funds it 100%. Then what do you do?
Yeah. Then I just move forward with the plan. I literally did not even see the house before I bought it. I didn't
inspection or anything?
No, I did get an inspection.
Okay. You didn't live in that area yet, or why wouldn't you?
Yeah, we didn't live in that area yet. We didn't move there yet.
You hadn't even been there yet.
We didn't even been there yet.
So you're relying on the flippers that you had contacted who were looking at the property to give you feedback.
Yeah, and the private, yeah, because it was basically all my trust was put into this Justin guy.
Yep.
And then because he's like, yeah, this is a good deal.
Did you have to give Justin part of the deal?
No, he didn't want anything.
You met a random dude calling him.
Yeah.
You made friends, and he helped you put the money together for a deal, and he didn't take any part of your deal.
No.
All right, I like Justin.
That's pretty cool.
Justin,
what have you done for Justin since?
Oh, you'll hear later. We'll get there.
Yeah. We knew that was coming.
But yeah, so I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I needed to fix this house up now. And so what I ended up doing was I went back to that lender and just came up with a plan. He was telling me about how I can do this what's called home style renovation loan, which is it's a conventional loan, but there's renovation funds
they
that
fund
can
the
get
rehab for you,
exactly. So got a contractor, got estimates and everything, or quotes put together, handed all to the bank. We do we move forward with the deal. Emily buys it from me. We close, and so I didn't even have to sell the other houses off first yet too, which saved even more time. So we just get started right away, and
So you sold that home to Emily. You gifted her the down payment?
Yes, I gifted her the down payment.
Family, and then you paid off your private money loan at that point?
Yes, thank you.
So
part of it. I sold
so as an investor, you sold the home occupant fixer to a home occupied fixer loan
to his
to
wife.
move in with your wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love this.
And then had all of it baked in with no money. So you're still no money into the deal at this point. 100% financed and 100% financed to your wife with all the rehab baked in. Plus now you've paid down the loan and you have your house and your other lot.
Yeah.
So you bought it with private capital, had 3 pieces of leverage, paid that down, moved it to the other 2 pieces of leverage, and then had the free and clear house to sell to your wife.
House was not free and clear. There's another.
That's how you paid it down in that transaction. Essentially.
Yes, paid down part of the private money loan. Yeah.
Okay.
You made it free
from
and
the private
clear
money
through that
lender.
process.
Yes.
We call that a lien release. So when you went into your loan with your private money lender, did he agree to allow you to split these things off and pay off?
Yeah, he did.
Chunks? Okay.
He did.
You agreed on the value of what would need to be paid off to release the deed, or?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
So did you then keep capital as an investor as well as then you had rehab funds from your rehab loan?
Yeah, I didn't have like any money still at this point. Like I did have a little bit saved up. I think I had like $10,000 like saved in our bank account. But yeah. Sorry, did I answer your question?
No, I'm just saying, like, from say you had 100 on each property, right? And the lender said, yeah, you're going to pay off the 100. You're going to sell it to your wife for 100. She's going to get a $125,000 loan. You're going to pay me 100. You have 25 in rehab, right? But you're the seller. You're the investor. You own that property with 100 in debt. You're selling it for what you owe it for.
Yes.
Well, what if you went to him and said, hey, I'm only going to pay you 50. You're going to go 125 on each of those other properties. And so then when I sell it for 100 and you're going to buy it for 100. So when you sell it for 100, you have no taxable event, but you have the 50 grand. So now you have whatever savings you had, the 50 grand that you just created, and the 25 grand in your construction loan.
So you didn't need to.
But you didn't need to.
Yeah, you didn't need to take on additional debt because you were selling it to his wife and baking in the rehab, and now you have equity in these other 2, right? A little bit, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there was like no equity in them.
Okay.
I made it to where like there was just like no equity.
Okay, so what'd you do with the other 2?
Yeah, so we got that loan, and then the other 2, we just eventually, like I had a real estate agent help me just sell that I also met through cold calling and stuff. But yeah, so we just sold it, and then basically it was just a complete wash with the lender.
Okay, so you got into a deal with no money, got rid of the other pieces, paid back all the debts, and now you had this property you were rehabbing.
Yeah, and I didn't make like any money in my. It was just like complete wash. All the equity, all of it like went into this property, like gifting the equity down payment to my wife, and then we move forward with the rehab loan, and I get a contractor, and we like get this plan in place to like get everything that needs to be done before we get there. We moved the middle of July 2022, and we're like, okay, awesome, like it's all going to be done, it's going to be great before we get there. We show up and like nothing is done.
Who gave you that contractor referral? Wasn't Justin's guy, was it?
It was in connection to Justin, but not directly.
Right.
Not direct. Well,
Justin gets -1 point.
Actually, I take that back. No, it was.
Well, was he paying Justin to be a project manager?
It's like, you can have my lender, but not my contractor.
Yeah.
So was he just taking draws and not doing the work?
Yeah, he took we gave him 15 grand, and he basically got like the demo done, and that was pretty much.
What
it.
was your budget for the whole project?
Yeah, so the rehab loan was 77 grand.
And what were you doing? You were doing foundation work, all interiors, all surfaces. Like you were doing a lot, right? This thing was a junker.
It was, it needed a lot of work. Like it needed a little bit of foundation, new flooring, new paint, a little bit of new electrical, a little bit of new plumbing, new light fixtures.
Exterior work too, like siding or
painting on the exterior.
Okay.
Yeah. And
you'd never done any of this type of work before, or had any idea how any of it worked?
No clue.
Or what it cost?
No clue.
And you hired the contractor before you had moved there. So he was supposed to be working on it, getting it ready for you. You got there, and the place is torn apart, but that's it.
That's pretty much it, yeah. And we paid him like 15 grand up front from the bank, basically. And so, it was a disaster. So we get there, we're like ready to unload our U-Haul, and we're like, all right, Emily's there, her dad was there with us to help us move. Her dad's girlfriend was there, Her sister was on the train coming to be with us.
You thought it was done.
I thought it was ready to move in.
At least you have people that help clean it up. Finish the demo.
So he was telling you it's done the whole time?
He sent like really deceiving photos of like,
okay.
He finished like some areas, but then it was just really deceiving. And then the work quality was extremely poor also, but he just like his photo.
How do you only take $15,000 and not the full 77 to... Why'd you think it was done if there was still all that money left on the...
So there was still more work that needed to be done, but the plan was like we were going to have the upstairs ready to like at least, be able to sleep and like,
Okay.
And like we can use the bathroom or like, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just didn't.
So it wasn't livable at all.
It was not livable. Yeah.
So then what? You go stay in a hotel?
So then my medical school friend, Jake, who also moved there, we both were, got positioned there. I told him the whole story, and then he let us live in his basement for 2 weeks until we need to leave. And then
until we need to leave. Not until you had a place to stay.
Yeah. And then so I told Justin, I was still like talking to Justin about all this like the whole way through. And I was like, do you have anything? Because he's also a property manager. Like he managed some properties in town. So I was like, do you have anything available that we can rent from you while this is like this? We get this figured out. And he's like, I just finished a flip and it's gonna be listed on the market for a little while. Why don't you just live in there while it's
what a dude.
Yeah, because that makes sense for him.
Wait, real quick though, what did your newlyweds' parents think when you brought them all to this house that you said you were moving her into that was supposed to be partially finished, and you just signed yourselves up for like whatever $300,000 of debt? You realized it wasn't done. Were they like, "What are you doing?" Or
he's got charisma. Yeah. That's not an issue.
So I think I skipped over. Like I'm going into clinical rotations right now. This is my third year of medical school, and all this is happening. I'm
at the same time.
At the same time, I'm in the hospital, like working.
Yeah.
So you show up on a Friday, and then on Monday, you're like, "Hey, honey, we just got here on Friday. I got to work 80 hours next week, but don't worry, we'll figure it out."
Yeah, basically.
Was her parents like, "What are you doing though?" Or like
so
they didn't really care? Or?
They were just like, you could tell they felt really bad, but they're just like. Her parents are awesome. Like they didn't like, what's it called? Like put me down.
Yeah, they just knew you'd figure it out.
They knew, yeah.
Okay.
Like they just like supported us. And
okay,
like
cool.
You'll figure it out. And they lived with us in that basement, like when we moved there, nice. Like to help us move everything.
So then Justin
for like 5 days or something.
Yeah. So then Justin put you in this rental for a little bit. Then what?
Yeah, the house that got listed, and we were just there for a month, and we got a new contractor and things were getting sorted out to the point where after a month we could finally like just live in the upstairs. So we got moved in. They're supposed to continue on the rest of the house, but now this was Justin's contractor now. And because he wanted to keep helping me for whatever reason. And
we know why.
yeah,
talent recognizes talent.
But yeah, then we had issues with this contractor now, and he also lied and stole and just left the job early and like took a draw from the bank.
Nice.
And like that he wasn't supposed to have, and just like that was it. Because what happened was he took on more work than like he was really a new contractor, and he took on way more work than he wanted to take on, and he just realized he's like I have other jobs I can make more money from. Like I'm just gonna leave.
It's how most contractors fail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So then what'd you do to figure it out?
So then he also damaged a ton of stuff, and like just so many things went wrong.
And you're having to service all this debt, right? At the same time while you're not making money and doing full-time work.
Yeah, I mean,
you're
essentially,
money.
At this point, essentially, it's just like a regular loan payment. Like
okay,
it's just a mortgage payment. So, and it was like our mortgage payment was like $1,400 a month. Like not very much, because the total loan amount was $180.
Yeah.
So and the bank gave it to you because you could afford it on a coffee shop. So
yeah, my wife qualified for this $180 loan on a $15 an hour coffee shop job.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's where timing matters again, right? The period of time you could do that.
Yeah, and like I couldn't find. Like I wish I could have just bought a deal on market, but like there was nothing I could find for that loan amount. and it was when the market was still super hot because interest rates just started to start climbing.
I was just gonna say you actually got it at the very end of that window.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we made an insurance claim against his liability insurance, and we had enough money to cover, because we were all out of money at that point. All the draws were gone, and there's still a ton of stuff to do. And so we did an insurance claim. It was successful. If we didn't have that insurance claim, then we probably would have been screwed for a little while.
How long did it take you to get the money from that?
Not very long. Like, it all happened less than a couple weeks.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You filed on his insurance policy.
On his insurance policy.
Luckily, he had a active policy.
Yes.
Sometimes they lapse.
We've done that before, and
We've
did not have.
We've
an
had
active
that
policy,
happen.
and then the insurance company told us to F off.
Wow. Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, I'm super, super thankful for that. And then
How much money did they give you?
$50,000.
Wow.
Okay, so then
you just start over.
Yes, you
Basically.
just paid, got the work done with a contractor eventually.
Yeah, we found a better contractor.
Okay.
I still work with this contractor now.
How'd you find the better one?
Justin?
No, not Justin. Not Justin. I don't remember, honestly. Like, I just called a lot of people and just made connection, and then I learned a lot about contractors too, and I learned about how to do due diligence on contractors. I had them show me their work. I had them show me their licensing and their insurance.
How do they do that? Like, they email you a portfolio, or what?
I went and just looked at their job. They're like, yeah, come look at our jobs that we're working on right now. And I saw their crew and everything. I was like, okay, these guys are the real deal. Like, these guys I can trust these guys.
Yeah.
And
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Go to an active job site.
Yeah.
So you learned, you did this first deal, got the other two sold off. Now you own this deal, you're house hacking it, and you were Airbnb part of it or something, right?
Actually, okay, so the original plan was there was an unfinished basement. We wanted to finish that out, and rent, because you could separate the entrances, and but that just, with everything that went wrong, we just scratched that. Is just never touched the unfinished basement. Just made sure we got the rest of the house finished, and we still live in that house right now. And so,
okay,
yeah, no house hacking, like I originally wanted to, unfortunately, but it still worked out.
So tell us how
you, brand new house.
Yeah, tell us how you got into because you've done a bunch more deals after that.
Yeah,
and you also quit med school with all your debt racked up. So tell us about those two things.
So I dropped out of medical school the beginning of September 2022.
After doing just that one deal.
This deal still wasn't even finished yet.
Yeah, still in contractor hell.
So you knew this is all going terribly, and you're like, this is the thing for me. I'm going to do this.
So you moved into hell in July and quit in September?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds right.
He found his passion.
He did. He's like, if I can do this, I can do anything.
Yeah, so basically it was about a little less than a month and a half, because it was the very end of July, and then August, and then very end of August, beginning of September. That's when I dropped out.
The reality is you couldn't do both 80 hours and contract.
Well, how'd you know and make the decision? And then also for context for people, so your dad is super successful doctor, awarded things from the president of the United States before. So he's your parents are you are going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And then you're I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna quit and do this whole real estate thing. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with I dropped out, and I decided to drop out because despite everything going wrong, I saw things were on the uphill, trajectory with the insurance claim and all that stuff, and I saw how everything could have gone right if I would have just done more due diligence and just not been an idiot.
Well, you weren't an idiot. You were taking action steps that you learned, and you're if I do this again, I can fix these things.
That's
true.
He
debriefed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And so I saw all those things, and I was I could keep doing this. I could keep finding more deals, wholesale deals, BRRRR deals, flip deals, whatever I want to do. And then I hadn't even touched creative finance yet. And so I just had this vision. I was just I want this. I could see this panning out, and this is and I was having way more, even though it was super stressful, it was so much fun. It was so exciting. There's so much adrenaline with this deal.
Oh, you're a deal junkie.
Yeah. And so I talked to my wife about it. We prayed a lot about it. We talked to family, and we're just her family. I didn't tell my family, so that's the next part. Yeah. But anyways, we just decided to do it, and I just went all in. I was all right, I'm gonna go find more deals now and do more deals. And I didn't tell my dad for like 3 or 4 months. I think I didn't. I was like, yeah, like he'd call me. I'd be like, yeah, everything's going good.
Can't jack that. I got to go to class.
Like, yeah.
How many times did you blow your dad?
Was he paying for it?
No, he didn't pay for it. I paid for it with loans. Yeah.
You're still paying for it?
Yep.
Yeah.
$2,400 a month are my payments.
Yeah, because you racked
easy.
up like $200,000, right?
$240,000.
So $30,000 a year, and you can pay for. So if you can do $30,000 a year in deals, you can just pay your debt off over time.
Yeah,
that's a decent allocation.
Yeah.
So what did Dad say?
He was really upset at first. He was like shocked, but once I started, like, and I felt like I couldn't tell him. I felt like the reason I waited so long was like I gotta show more success until I gotta prove myself until I can actually tell him. And so, yeah, that's.
What did you feel like? What level did you feel like you had to hit before you could tell him?
I don't know.
Did you hit a level, or did you just at some point tell him?
Did. Yeah. So I did. I went and so I did a flip. I did one flip. Me and Justin. So me and Justin wanted to try a partnership. So we did a flip. We did a flip together, and then we decided like, this isn't like a super. We stayed friends and everything, but we're like, we don't think this is like a super great fit. We're just like different personality types, like want different things, and so, is it raining right now?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, then I was learning more about subject 2 because I was like, man, like this, I got to get into subject 2 because the interest rates are going up, and there's so many
market conditions said that was a smart thing to learn.
Yeah, and so I started looking for pre-foreclosures. Like I started reaching out. I started looking at the lists in our town, and the first one I reached out to. Like I made all these calls, all these amount of calls to get this quote unquote Burr deal that we did. And then the first call I make on a pre-foreclosure, it was 3 days before the auction. And I said, hey, I think I can help you save your house. Cause I looked at when she bought it, I could see on PropStream, she bought it with an FHA loan. And then I could see, the loan balance and like, all the notices, like how much you have to get caught up on her payment. And I was like, I think I can help you. And she's like, how are you going to help me? And then I was like, can you meet me at a coffee shop in an hour? And then she met me at a coffee shop. I explained subject 2 to her, and she's like, yeah, nobody could buy my house cash because they offered like $10,000 less.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, yeah, it's no problem. Like we'll do it this. I'll catch your, I can save you by catching your, what's it called? Your arrears.
Yep.
And catch up your arrears. And then I'll take over your loan payments. And she's like, yes, please. So then we went ahead and did it. I got under contract. I immediately called Justin. I was like, hey, I got a subject 2 deal for you. And then he agreed to, long story short, he agreed to pay me a $15,000 assignment fee. There were some things that popped up in between, like there was quote unquote squatters living in the property. And so me and Justin went to visit the property. We like put these orange vests on, just pretending like, oh, we're inspecting the home because like the foreclosure's coming up. And so we go in the house and they're like, oh, they didn't think of anything of it. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, come in. And then we find out that they have a lease option in place with the seller, and the seller stopped making, she stopped making the payments.
She was making good money. She's collecting lease payments, not making her mortgage payment.
And so I was so worried. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make like my $15,000 is gone. Like, I was so worried. But then
did you spend it before you had it?
No, because it didn't close yet. But
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
In your mind.
Yeah. On a credit card.
Mistake number 1.
No. But then I was like, okay, well, then I read the lease option, and the purchase price was $20,000 higher than the all-in price of like what it would have been for Justin. I was like, so we were both like, okay, worst case scenario, you just make $20,000 if they decide to exercise the option. They only had until like 3 more months to exercise the option.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they were not going to exercise the option.
Shot.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. If they would have done it already,
they wouldn't know how to even probably.
Yeah, and so it was all good, and then we just went and closed, and that was the first deal. And actually, before this deal closed, I got another deal that an agent, like in a similar situation, he's like, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to sell this house. And it was the same exact situation. So that was a 3% interest rate loan. Then this one was a 3% interest rate loan. The house was like a hoarder house. It was disgusting. And I was like, okay, just let me take over the loan payments. And then the agent, I same thing. I explained it all to him, and I did the same thing. I signed it over to Justin for $15,000. And then that was those deals closed the beginning of January. So we did a flip. So we started a flip that we were finally done, sold in February. And then I did those two.
Did you make money on the flip?
Yeah, we made like $15,000 on the flip each.
Okay.
That was your partnership?
Yeah.
And then you made $15,000 on each of these deals.
So by the time I dropped out, we bought our house, and then I made $45,000 by the beginning of January.
From September to January, basically?
Yeah, from September to January.
It's not too bad.
That's pretty good.
So I was like, okay. I was like, all right, we got something. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell my dad now. And so I went.
Dad, I got $45,000. I'm not going to be the world's best doctor.
But
you can frame that math at him so easily. He's like, look, dude, like in 4 or 8 years, I could earn this much, but by then. Sorry.
He's probably got a pride thing, though. He's a doctor. He wants his son to be a doctor. There's more than money wrapped up in this.
It was all about it was all about pride. Just wanted me to be like the status.
Identity.
Have the status.
But I remember when we were talking about it at the time, because you came back to visit and we were sitting at the restaurant and you were like, I'm thinking about telling my dad or whatnot. And I had the same exact thing he did, where I was like, quitting an engineering job, and your parents are like, why would you want to be anything other than an engineer? I'm like, because I can make so much more money doing this, and it's way less shitty. So I remember us having the conversation the whole time, and you were like, I don't know how to tell him, and I was like, you should drop out of medical school, just do it. I was like, you're gonna make so much more, and you had proof of concept too, because like if you're able to do that on your first 3 deals and have it go that poorly, like you only have upside from there because you're learning as you go.
Yeah.
So.
Advice of people trying to relay information to their parents: don't say because I'm going to make a lot more money. Say because I'm going to be significantly happier.
Yeah, and that's what I said, and he didn't care. he's just like, what about this? He's like, are you going to go back to medical school? Are you going to go back? Because I could go back the next year if I wanted to. He's like, are you going to go back? Like he kept asking me, are you going to go back? I'm like, no.
So now today, is there anything Tristan thinks of that you might want to do other than real estate, or is this this is the only thing I can see myself doing?
No, but that's not even what he's doing right now. He's got updates on his other business.
Okay. We'll get into it then.
Yeah, you gotta organically get to there.
How long did your dad's mourning process take? Because that's his question. That's his morning process.
He let it go on until like that year mark was over, where I couldn't go back. I didn't have the option to go back anymore unless I like restarted everything. Like, yeah.
His hope faded.
Yeah.
1 day at a time for 365 days.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go forward now.
Yeah. So I'm still doing real estate now. Like I'm not as active, like doing as many deals as I was doing in the first year, because. So when I was like going all in after January, things were kind of slow. Like I could get like a deal a month and I'd make like, I don't know, like $10,000 a month, which is still like pretty good. But with medical school debt payments and everything, didn't feel like a lot. And then all of a sudden in June of 2023, I had this monster month where I got $60,000 in assignments. And I bought a sixplex. Seller finance, 0 down. And I also bought my first subject to deal that I held instead of wholesale to somebody else. And so like that all happened in 1 month. And I was like, it was amazing. And it was awesome. But I was running around with like a chicken with my head cut off. And I was just like doing everything myself. And so once I realized that, I was like, that's when I started to think more about like, okay, I've been doing this, just not running this like a business this whole time, just been trying to make money, which was good. Like I had to do it. I had to make money. I had to do all this for Emily and I. But then I was like, okay, like I want to start learning how to do a business. And then at the same time, Emily was cleaning on her own. She quit her coffee job and she started cleaning on her own. and she was doing really good at it. Like she was like, everybody loved her. Like she was a great cleaner. And I just Googled one day, residential cleaning company in Great Falls, and like no company popped up. It was just like, no, it was just like these, one-off solopreneurs like here and there. And I was like, okay, we could make this a business. Like we could be the go-to residential cleaning company in this town. And so I first had this idea in June when all that stuff was happening. And then come January, I basically shifted out of wholesaling full time. So I made like pretty good money wholesaling through the whole year. I bought like one more subject to deal property. That one was on market.
Because what do you hold right now for reference, like people?
So right now I ended up selling my sixplex, but now I own 3 single family homes, and then a fourplex, and I just bought a commercial building, seller finance.
Okay, so within your first year, you bought like 12 units plus a commercial building or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah,
whatever the math.
Yeah, I think I bought like 13 units in my first year. Yeah.
Starting with no money, $200,000 in debt, and no plan.
Yeah.
And the acquisitions there, other than your personal, was like from June 23 until now, or this past. Is that the time frame?
June 23 until now.
So when you buy
your 22 or 22?
Yeah, because I moved there July 2022.
Okay.
And then
your first holds were a year later.
Yep.
And then the portfolio was built the year after.
Yes.
So essentially a year to get established and going, a year to build a portfolio.
No. He was buying it during
by the first year. By the end of the first year, I had
sixplex.
Yeah. By the end of 2023, I had. Okay, I bought the fourplex earlier this year. So
yeah, it took like a year, about 13 units.
But a year and a half, I bought like 13 units. Yeah,
year and a half.
14 now with 2 years now, about a little over 2 years. But anyways,
and you're partnered with Justin on these? Or
no, we did one flip together, and we were just kind of testing it out, and we're like, no, this isn't a great fit. So because I needed cash, like I needed money, I needed to make money, I needed a wholesale. He wanted to flip and burr. And so I ended up just wholesaling him a bunch of deals.
Yeah, it goes down a line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. Then by January of this year, that's when I went basically transitioned out of real estate full time to just going all in with my wife on the cleaning business. And then by June of this year, so 5 months ago now, we built this team of residential cleaners, trained all of them. We trained people to start training more cleaners. And by June we did $50,000 in cleans. And then
a month?
A month. Yeah. In the month of June we did $50,000. And then by the month of August we did 60. And then now we've scaled back a little bit, because then I was running the same problem where okay, I was doing all the sales, I was doing all the scheduling, Emily and I were just doing everything aside from cleaning. And so we scaled back a little bit. We're still doing a good amount of revenue, but we scaled back. And then we brought in somebody from the field who was doing really good, brought her into the office. And now she's helping us do all those things. And so now we're on the rise again. And I think, goal is we want to do $1 million of revenue for the year of 2024. That's the goal.
From doctor to house cleaner.
Yeah, I love that.
To make more money as a house cleaning company than you would as a doctor.
Did you sell the sixplex to put into the business, or did you just a byproduct of portfolio?
Oh, dude, we got to dive into the sixplex.
Yeah.
We'll in next episode, let's dive into it. He has this and another deal. he bought a house for less than the cost of a truck. Crazy story.
So when you started your story, you talked about wanting more time freedom. Are you getting that yet, or do you just see that there's light at the end of the tunnel?
No, he's a business owner, dude.
Right. Now you're just working your ass off.
He's not a real estate investor. He's now a business owner.
So you decided you're actually a workaholic. You just don't want to be a doctor.
As long as he's working for himself.
I'll clean houses.
Yeah. I still have a lot more time freedom, and then
Better yet, he'll convince his wife to clean houses.
Yeah.
So you don't have to clean.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot more freedom now than I did. Let's put it that way. And I have location freedom. I'm free to go. I'm here right now. Our team is still going in Great Falls. We can manage things from here. And so that I was studying 80 hours a week. There's just no way around it to succeed if I want to go gun for straight A's, but then, like I said, the second year kind of dropped off a little bit, but, Yeah.
So with what you're doing now, though, now you take on all the risk. You have to employ all these people, but you have more freedom, yes, and control. But you're glad you did it. You like owning
100%.
business, and you're passionate about owning business, and you like see you're building something, or what's your deal now?
Yeah, 100%. Because like I have a little bit of cash flow coming in from the rentals, and then all the wholesaling, like that was really nice. Like that just provided like a lot of. Like the first thing I did when I made that 45 grand is I took Emily to Cancun. I took her to Cancun because that was like, it was really hard on her, that moving, like just culture shock, moving to a new state again in a short period of time.
Hey, mom and dad, want to live in a basement with my newlywed husband? That's a tough conversation.
But no, and it's really fun running a business with my wife now. Like we get to do it together now.
Because I like how you're doing it, because me and Tristan have hopped on a little bit and we'll like brainstorm some stuff, because he's doing similar to what we're doing, where he's actually like building out the systems and thinking, how can I scale these, like what ads am I running, and he's running sales funnels and all this stuff. So it's cool to like see how you've grown it, and he'll send me screenshots of like his chart of revenue just going like up and up and up. He's like, oh, look what I did this month.
Yeah. Go high level, baby.
What are the next ways you're replacing yourself or buying your time back in your business?
Yeah. So getting this person in the office now is like a huge help. And then the goal is I think by like June of next year, either this person, which I think she has the potential to become the operations manager, or someone else, we want to have an operations manager in place, so that way we just don't have direct involvement with the business anymore. just doing like meetings with the manager, once a week or whatever it is.
Are you trying to scale it to more locations, or what's the?
So I think I think Great Falls could probably sustain like around 100 grand in revenue a month. And so, cause it be a $1 million business, we got to do, 83 per month. And we got to 60 in August. So like, I know that we can do it. We just got to keep doing all the things.
There's math. It's just math.
Yeah.
How do you utilize the business to support your real estate dreams? Are you giving up on real estate now, or are you just going to be a business person, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I'm giving up on real estate. I just saw like this opportunity with my wife to like remove myself faster and be able to make enough money, like a good amount of money that I'd be happy with, like to just have freedom and like spend time together.
So business is family, and it's a significantly larger lever.
Yeah.
And that's what you went from, I don't want to be a lever, to creating some levers, to realizing this is the largest lever you have and probably the easiest one to use.
Yeah. The fastest path towards like time and financial freedom, and is what I saw it as. And so even though I was making a lot more, I was definitely making a lot more doing just real estate full time. I was like, in the long term, I think, if I get this, I just got to build this up to $1 million, get an operation manager in place, and then that way it'll be sustained, and then I'm good. And then could go.
Then what?
Then I could go start another one if I wanted to.
So is the focus always going to be on making as much money now, or are you going to keep trying to put your name on assets for the future?
I think a little bit of both. Like I just bought. So I did buy a fourplex. Because like I said, in January I transitioned out of it, like doing it full time. But I was able to buy a fourplex in April earlier this year, and then we just bought a commercial building, and we're using that commercial building for the cleaning business now, like for our team. And it's fun. I'll talk about it a little more in the next episode when I talk about the deal. But there's a gift shop in there now, so now I own a gift shop too.
That you run the business, or just own the building?
It's the business and the building.
Okay,
we're sold together. Yeah.
All right.
And I'll talk all about it.
All right,
in the
cool.
next one, but yeah.
Well, it's a fun story. Do we want to wrap this episode up? Is there anything we want to touch on before we sign off?
Do you have more questions? We've heard it once before, so we went in more.
No, this is great. I think it's a good time to transition into some more deals.
Yeah, it's a cool story though, right?
No, it's great. Dude, are you kidding?
Yeah, that's why it's my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Dude, like 200 grand in debt to full-time real estate.
Yeah.
Against all odds and against all your dad's wishes.
It's so funny to think of who you are now versus the kid who read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you probably look at that kid going, boy, took you a while to learn. 4 years. Was it even 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah, it was like 3 years.
So in 3 years, you're probably looking at, boy, I could have learned a lot more lessons a lot faster. And we're looking at it like, dude, that was really fast. and now to see where now you're going to take that.
Yeah, and your biggest thing in all the things like you've done is take action. You saw opportunity, and then you tried it, and then you got results, and then you kept going. Like, you didn't quit. Like, so many people would have quit along the way. Like, I have no money. All right, I stop there. Yeah. All right, I buy this property. My contractor just stole my money. I stop there. They stole it again. All right, I give up.
Sound like a non-emotional guy. Just pretty logical.
He has a doctor's temperament.
Yeah, good point.
You do. I mean, I think that's going to play out very well for you in the business and real estate world. Because I don't know, do you get scared? Do you get emotional and just don't show it? Or you seem like a pretty level-headed, logical guy. Like, when things are going wrong, you're like, well, something's going wrong. Let's figure out what it is and go fix it.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Like, I think in the beginning I can definitely get like scared and stressed out, and I can get angry sometimes. But I think that's the biggest issue and lesson I've learned along the way is like my anger, and just the way I treat other people is extremely important, because like it's all about relationships. And so yeah, I've definitely learned some lessons about that along the way.
I love it. He speaks computer like Trevor, gets along with Trevor, but has like some human to him too.
He's got a heart.
He's got a heart.
Learning about his human side. Yeah. I love it. All right, we got Tristan Mistkawi in the studio this morning. We're so excited to have you. We are going to sign off for this episode and come back and talk about deals. Is that it?
That's it. Share the episode.
Share this episode and take action. We'll see you next time. Thanks.